On Wednesday morning, I woke up to some very unexpected news in the West Ham footballing world. News that blew everything out of the water. I was led to believe that the club was not going to appoint a director of football. But 48 hours or so later, things have massively changed. Fabrizio Romano, ex-West Ham United employee, and Jacob Steinberg are all mentioning the same name, Tim Steidten. And they're saying that the deal is almost done, signed, sealed and delivered, for West Ham United to appoint the 44-year-old German as the new sporting director of the club. I don't mean to get excited, and I probably should sound a little bit more cheery in my voice, but I'm excited on the inside. Promise you that. I don't mean to even, shall I say, try to be excited, but ladies and gentlemen, I am excited. I promise. I'll start sounding a little bit more cheerful. I mean, that intro to this video made me sound like I was being sarcastic. I'm really not being sarcastic. This is a good thing for West Ham United Football Club. West Ham's appointing the former Werder Bremen and Bayer Leverkusen chief as its new sporting director. Before I get into the details, I want to clarify that this should not affect the roles of Mark Noble and Rob Newman at the club. Noble is set to continue his role within West Ham United, and I don't think that Newman's going to be leaving anytime soon, even though there were contrary reports to this around a month ago. Steidten has been a big name in the Bundesliga for his work behind the scenes at both Werder Bremen and Bayer Leverkusen. Let me talk about one significant transfer that happened with Werder Bremen. He signed Kevin De Bruyne on loan for Bremen, and had that own belief within himself that the now Manchester City player would be an excellent signing. It reaped rewards. De Bruyne ended up making a permanent transfer to Wolfsburg, and in his only one season there, he led to the league in assists. In his time at Bayer Leverkusen, he was in charge from 2019 until 2023. He left the role 3 months ago. And actually, he's left around 3 months today, in fact. So he's now unemployed and he's looking for work elsewhere. This sparked some interest from Tottenham and West Ham to sign him. It seems Tottenham pulled out of the race, and West Ham's now the forerunner. Steidten's time at Leverkusen was very successful. His identification for talent was quite sensational. He signed Sardar Azmoun, Florian Wirtz, Piero Hincapié, Jonathan Tah. Who else signed? Frimpong, Patrick Schick. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting from this list that's excellent for Leverkusen? Those are just some of the players that I can think of off the top of my head. He signed some quality defenders for this team. Florian Wirtz is one of the best young midfielders in the Bundesliga. Patrick Schick has taken some time to dig his heels into German football, but he's still a very promising signing. I also want to talk about this guy because I mentioned Gerardo Sioni in a previous video and on an article I wrote for Green Street Hammers. Well, Sioni worked with Steidten at Leverkusen. The two worked together to recruit a younger team that was more energetic and able to attack from the back a lot more. And in the first and only full season that Sioni had in charge at Leverkusen, it really paid off. The team won its first 5 games of the 2021-22 season and finished third in the Bundesliga. This was one of the team's highest ever finishers, both in terms of league positioning and points. Unfortunately, a poor start to the 2022-23 campaign saw Sioni out the door. However, the immediate impact that was made could certainly not have been ignored. Steidten himself did not have a successful playing career and played as a defensive midfielder in the lower leagues of the German footballing pyramid. But behind the scenes, he's gained a reputation of being an excellent scout and a chief for clubs. What this would mean for West Ham is that he's going to have a lot of contacts from the Leverkusen hierarchy. And West Ham's already linked with Jonathan Tah. It's previously been linked with Hinchapi, apparently, and he's also a target of Tottenham Hotspur. Patrick Schick used to be a target of West Ham United Football Club and has connections with the Czech boys. These things are no coincidence, and it actually makes everything add up if you really think about it in a little more detail. Steidten is just one of the names being considered, I must add. He's got to meet with David Moyes still, and Moyes is going to have the decision as to whether he wants to continue with this individual in a role at West Ham. Other names that were considered were Paul Mitchell and Lee Dykes. Mitchell's known for being a good friend of Mark Noble, and he featured on a previous video of mine on this channel. Lee Dykes has been working for Brentford, and Brentford's now gained a reputation for having a very unique but quite well-structured scouting mechanism. With Steidten, West Ham can expect to have just those things, even if it's not similar to Brentford. Not that I would expect it to be anyway. Steidten would be able to bring in young players who average between 20 to 25 years old. He would look for contacts in South America and even some in North America. He has a decent scouting network in that part of the world. He's got a good scouting network actually in Eastern Europe. He picked up Asmuen from Zenit St. Petersburg. Can't forget to add. And he's got a very strong knowledge of European football. This could be a major coup for West Ham. That could be bigger than some potential signings over the summer. Although he's not physically playing on the field, he will get those players to be a part of the club somehow, with negotiations and all sorts of, shall we say, talks going on within his inner circle. Tim Steidten can definitely come to West Ham and make a big difference. If talks go well within the next few days, he will be appointed at West Ham. And it's an exciting thing to happen. I can't get my hopes up too high, but if my hopes are really as high as the ceiling, I expect the outcome to skyrocket to the universe.